Hey guys, Travis here, and wow, I just finished watching the Chris Benoit two episodes of Darkside of the Ring. For those of you who haven't watched it yet, you gotta watch it. You know it is rough, very rough. Uh, we all know about the Chris Benoit tragedy, about what happened, what he did to his wife and his son, and then to himself. As a wrestling fan, I remember that day, and I was just in disbelief knowing that Chris Benoit could do such a thing. I mean, this was a guy that I watched my entire life growing up, back when he was in WCW with the Four Horsemen. I remember the very first ever WrestleMania I ever saw live was WrestleMania 20. I was with a couple of friends of mine at the time, and we were watching Chris Benoit win the World Heavyweight title. And then, a year after that, Eddie Guerrero passed away, and he actually died a couple of days after my grandfather. So that was two whammies of grief right there. And it says everything about Chris, about what kind of things he was going through, and grief is a very terrible thing. Um, we'll never know what was going through Chris's mind, why he did what he did. But I myself was very, very sad knowing that he did. And what? Out of all this, out of all the people they interviewed everybody: Chris Jericho, Jim Ross, Dean Malenko, all of them. And obviously, I feel bad for the family, but there's one person that I feel just terrible for more than any of them else, and that's Chris's son David. Um, you know, if you actually saw a picture of me and my dad together, you'd say I look a lot like my dad. David Benoit is the clone. You know how they say you're a spitting image of your dad, but this David is a clone of Chris. Everything from the scruff to the hair to the face, you know, and I feel so bad for him knowing that he is totally innocent in everything. But if you're a wrestling fan and you see David Benoit walking down the street, you would freeze because you would think, my God, is that Chris Benoit? I thought he was dead. And then you realize it's his son David. And, I just feel really bad for David because, he doesn't deserve to go through this. He doesn't deserve all the crap. He doesn't deserve people saying shit about him. And, his dad did do a terrible thing. And, but it's the kind of thing where you got to look at David's perspective. If you got no respect for Chris Benoit, that's one thing. But you got to have respect for David. He's trying his best to live his life. I mean, I think he's like a year or two younger than me. I'm not sure. But, he's just a young kid, just like I am. I mean, going through tragedy and everything. And one thing I didn't expect to see, he was crying on the documentary. And, my heart broke for him. But I remember the day when Chris Benoit died. Back then I used to go on WWE.com religiously, and then I seen the title screen and said, Chris Benoit 1967 or whatever it was to 2007. I'm like, huh? What? So then I clicked on it and I'm reading, and immediately when you think of a pro wrestler dying, you think of three things: suicide, overdose, or accident. So I read, and not only was Chris dead, but Nancy and Daniel were dead, his wife and his 7-year-old kid. And immediately when I heard that, I was like, oh, immediately I thought murder, suicide. I didn't think of a gas leak. I didn't think somebody broke into the house. I just thought, that's not sounding good. And then when I found out that it happened, it was just, wow. So, anybody who wants to watch it, you should learn from it. And, to David Benoit, if you ever see this, I know you probably will never see it, but to David Benoit, you have my love, you have my support, and, let you know that there are people out there who actually, care about you, and will never say shit about your back, and never disgrace you because of who your dad was and what your dad did. because you're your own man, and you know, just like everybody else, they should remember what their dad for what they were, not what happened in the end. So, on Travis Walsh, that's the way it is.